Welcome back to Mike's Archery, and today we are taking a look at the lineup from Bear for 2024, and we have got their new flagship model, the Persist. Now, as always, Bear is still making everything right down there in Gainesville, all American-made products across their entire lineup of bows. So let's go through the specs of this new Persist before we get into some of the great features that they've added for 2024. The speed on this bow is coming in at an IBO of 340 feet per second. The axle to axle on this bow is 31 inches with a brace height of 6.5 inches. Now the overall cam to cam length is going to be 36 inches on this bow, while the reflex is at 4 3/4. So that's a nice brace height right there in the middle, not too short, not too long for this brand new bow. Now one thing we noticed as we pulled out the new catalogs from Bear is they have no advertised weights anymore in their catalog. So as always, we went ahead and got our real world weights on these bows, but there's nothing really to compare to what they're advertising them at. So we've got this new Persist at 5.6 pounds as it comes out of the box, and then we pulled the dampeners off of it, got it down to 5.2. So not real bad for a machine risered bow. It's going to be right there with probably what we expect to see out of the competition. Now with the draw length option on this, they did stay with the EKO cam, which has been a nice cam. It's been really smooth, a ton of adjustment on that cam. You still got that from 26 to 30 inches on the draw length, with your adjustability of the let off from 75 all the way out to 90%. It's a little bit confusing without using the manual to get those specs right for your draw length and let off, but if you pull out that manual, it becomes pretty straightforward as to where you need to set those draw length pegs as well as your module. You just need to match those up according to what the manual says. Now the draw weight options on this bow are coming to you as usual from Bear with a 15-pound draw range. You can get this bow at a 60-pound max, dropping it down to 45 pounds, or a 70-pound max, dropping it down to 55 pounds. So it gives you a nice wide range there if you want to back the poundage off and build yourself back up to a higher weight bow. So let's take a look at some of the new features on the new Bear Persist. Now they have definitely come with a feature-packed bow for 2024, adding a lot of the things that we knocked them on in 2023 for not having on this bow. Now, as I mentioned already, they kept with the EKO cam. A smart move because that cam has been fantastic over the last several years. Really smooth, a lot of adjustability, just a great feeling cam, solid on the back wall. So from that standpoint, we're glad they kept that cam and not messing anything up there. But what they did do for this year is they went fully integrated on the new Persist. Not only did they add the dovetail to the back of the riser for your integrated rest, so you can use that QAD dovetail there, but they also came with an integrated IMS whisker biscuit that will mount on there as well. So along with that whisker biscuit that we saw last year, Trophy Ridge is also adding a new limb-driven fall-away IMS system that will integrate to the back of any of their integrated bows, as well as any other bow on the market if you're looking for a really nice limb-driven fall-away at a somewhat budget price. So you've got some options there depending on what rest you want to use, because there's a lot of manufacturers going to that IMS system. The fact that they added an integrated rest option on the back of this bow was certainly needed to keep on their flagship bow at these price points. From there, they added the integrated pick rail system up front for your sights. If you've noticed, a lot of bow manufacturers have been going to that pick rail system, so you've got a lot more options out there on the market to put a pick rail sight on. Not only the full Trophy Ridge line with a pick mount change out that you can do for any of their sights, but there are certainly a ton of other manufacturers out there offering a pick sight that will mount to this bow. They did not change out the fact that you can still put your standard accessories on these bows, so if you still want to use your old rest and swap some stuff over, or you've got a favorite rest and you want to use a traditional mounting style for the rest or the sights, it is still pre-drilled to be able to do that. Some of the other integrated features they built into it was an integrated sling system. Now it's going to be right here below the grip. You can slide basically any stiff braided sling through that slot. It'll be integrated right into the riser. You won't have to hook it in behind your stabilizer. They've also put in an integrated pull-up system, so you can hook right in here with your pull-up rope for easy access, silent hookup to get in and out of the tree stand with this new Persist. They've also integrated a new silent shelf system with a polymer type material here that's definitely going to allow you, if you happen to have an arrow slap off the shelf here or your riser facing, it's going to keep it much quieter than hitting that bare metal. From there, they've got a fully adjustable cable rod system. Now, if you've noticed in the past, Bear has had a swinging cable rod, but it's also a roller guard on there. But you've also got adjustments for backward, forward, left, and right to take the torque out of the cables, Going to give you a little more tunability out of this bow to get that perfect arrow flight. Another one of their new features is the string stop. It's slightly redesigned. You still got your bigger rubber stopper on the back, but incorporated into that in the bar is also a rubberized system there, taking more shock out of the shot and giving more vibration reduction throughout and quietness to the bow. They also kept with their limb dampeners in there with their killer wave system. They've also kept with their riser dampener system, completing the setup for a nice, quiet, vibration-free bow. They also kept with their riser level built in there to make sure that you are keeping everything vertical and eliminating some torque and variations in your shot. Now they also widened the stance on their limbs, with the limb pocket coming in at 3 inches and the overall limb width being 2 3/4 of an inch. That is going to give a nice stable platform to this bow and more forgiveness in your shooting. They also kept with the threaded axles that they had in the Execute last year, changing things out and not compressing those bearings, giving more longevity through that cam life. They also kept with a similar grip to that bear paw grip. It has a nice textured feel to it, feels very similar in the hand. It is not the bear paw grip. It's not shaped quite the same at the top, but an overall great feeling grip that we would compare to that bear paw grip. Now the Persist is going to come to you available in 5 colors, 3 camos and 2 solids. Come to you available in a full Fredbear camo, as well as a mossy oak bottomlands, and then also the mossy oak DNA for the camos. You can get this in 2 solids that you can see here in the stone, as well as an olive. Now the price on this bow is going to come to you at an MSRP of $1249. Now we realize for Bear, they have kept creeping up the price with their flagship bows to compete with the competition out there. Now this $1249 price point, since we haven't seen what the other manufacturers are going to do, I believe is still going to be competitive with everybody else. But what they have brought is all the features, all the shootability, and the feel of what a top-end bow should be from any manufacturer. And Bear has definitely got a winner here with the Persist, coming in with all these features, all the integrated stuff, and still keeping a great look on a Bear platform. So if you're the guy looking to upgrade and go to the top end of a flagship bow and you don't want to go to one of those other manufacturers, you have got a great option here with the Persist from Bear. Now we're going to step back here and as usual shoot these bows over the chronograph to give you a breakdown of the speeds. We're going to be shooting this bow at our usual 29-inch draw length, 90% let off, and 70 pounds, and we'll give you that range of grain weight on the arrow from 350 to 500. So we've stepped back here to the lane and we've got the new 2024 Persist from Bear, and we're going to put it through its paces over the chronograph here, give you that breakdown as we always do with a 29-inch draw length, 70-pound bow. Then we're going to give you a breakdown on all the speeds using a 350 out to 500 grain arrow, as well as a noise breakdown from the decibel meter. So let's give you a shot just so you can see what the draw cycle looks like on the new Persist. All right, so speeds on the new Persist. When we dropped it down to a 350 grain arrow, we got 325 feet per second. Once we came up to a 400 grain arrow, we got 305. And then with a 450 grain arrow, it dropped down to 293. And with a 500 grain arrow, you got 277. So this new Persist is packing some great speeds out of this bow. It's definitely going to be really close to what they're rating it at. So we're pretty pleased with what Bear has put out there. So if you're looking for a nice, shootable, fast bow, then the new Persist is something you may want to look at. Now, as far as the decibel meter readings on this bow, it is also super quiet. So we got this thing coming in at 89.7 decibels. So probably one of the quietest bows we've shot, and just a nice feature on this bow to be that quiet in a hunting setup. As we go through the draw cycle, it is the EKO cam. It is a little stiff coming over the top. It's not quite as smooth as what we saw out of the Execute, but still a great feel as it comes through that draw cycle. Drops into that back wall nice and solid. Like I said, on the back end of it, it drops in there a little bit hard, but having that 90% let off is definitely part of the reason. You bump this thing back out to 80 or 85, that drop into the back end is not going to be quite as severe. Now, we mentioned the grip earlier, and we do like the new Bear grips, and this Persist has got a great feel to it. We did realize that it's not the Bear paw grip exactly, but it does have a very similar feel to it. Sits in your hand, has a nice just kind of tackiness to that grip, kind of a soft coat feel really. And the best thing that you notice about this bow is the aftershot. Bear brought it. Not only is it quiet, but this thing is dead in the hand as it goes off. So they have really stepped up their game for 2024, and we are really pleased with what Bear has done. And this new Persist is a bow that you most certainly need to get to your shop and shoot to believe. I would put it up against pretty much anything out there on the market as a top-end flagship bow. This thing has got all the features with the integrate system, with sights, rest, and just the overall feel and shootability of this bow is fantastic. So if you're looking for something new from Bear and you're wanting to step to the top end of things, then take a look at this new Persist. Give us a call and stop in here at Mike's Archery and shoot this thing. Get it in your hands, and we'll make you happy with a new Bear.